Hello, all. Welcome back to our channel. I hope you are all doing good. Today, in this video, we are going to discuss about cloud service models. So, what are the models which will be provided by cloud service providers? And each model, what are the services are there, and how we are going to use those models? How industry is getting opted for those models, and what are the differences, and what are the services which will be available? And each model there are some significant differences there. So some of the services or some of the tasks we are going to has to be handled by organization, or maybe uh, the consumer is going to use that, or some of the services or some of the task and which is handled by service providers. So in this diagram I have explained, I have given all those points. So in order to clarify those uh, points, so that you can understand in detail about so what are those service models and how it is used for in a real-time industries. Okay, so we will get into this video in order to understand or in order to discuss each and every point. So stay tuned. Watch this video till the end so that you can understand in a very detailed way. So it will be useful for your in order to go for any kind of interview, or in order to explain these service models in your organization or in your day-to-day mm, activity, or maybe for in order to migrate whenever if you start migrating your application into cloud. So it will be very useful. Okay, so there are four models, right? Uh, One is for on-premises or fully hosted with vendor location, or maybe for uh, the organization data center, and the other one is for infrastructure as service model, and other is for platform as service model, and last one is for software as service model. So now we will discuss each and every models one by one to understand more about each models, also how this model will be used in organization in real time, so that you can realize those things. In case if you don't have any experience in industry, maybe it will be fine. So just understand that so that you can realize those things, so how this getting used in industries. Okay, let's get into this first model, which is on premises or uh, the dedicated data center. Okay, which is used for in a vendor location, which means that the receiver, which means the organizations, right? So if you see here on premises, right, in a traditional IT, what we are doing, right? So basically, uh, for example, uh, in for example, one company like say XYZ, the company want to build an application has to be deployed in order to host their application in a Linux based machine, or maybe any kind of machine, hosted machine, and has to be serviced their service into the customers, right? So for that we need an infrastructure. So last few videos also we discussed a lot of we discussed a lot about so infrastructure, how infrastructure is used, why we need infrastructure, all those stuffs, right? So basically, let me explain in a very simple way. So procure an infrastructure and set up an infrastructure, build your application, host your application, and release your application for customer use. Okay, these are the major 5 points, or maybe for the points which have been used in a industry. Okay, so you can think through that. Okay, this is how the process. Okay, each process having different sub points. Maybe we will will come into that. So as part of this diagram, we can see each and every service or each and every works, how it is happening, right? In an on premises, right? So as we discussed earlier, we have networking, right? So in case if you want to build an data center, okay, so in a data center you have to configure a lot of machines, right? So how these machines are interconnected via networking. Okay, so there are some of the concepts will be in a networking. So how machines getting interconnected in order to communicate each other. So that is why networking concept come into picture. Then we have storage. Why we are storage? Why we need storage? Yeah. So you are in an organization, there are lot of data you need to process, right? So once the data gets processed or the uh, application process those data, where you will store all those data or where you will store all those information, you need storage, right? So it may be SDD or maybe SDD. So whatever the storage mechanism, it depends on the company, right? So I'm not talking about any kind of companies here. So this is for the general, in a real time scenario, how we will be using it. The similar way you can think through that accordingly. You can realize, right? So if you want to process data and you want to store those data after process, you need a storage. So for that purpose, we need storage. That's why these services, right? Then we have servers. So servers we discussed a lot. So server is a machine. So you have to servers contains CPU, RAM, memory, and these are the main and underlining networking concepts. So these are the CPU, RAM, memory. So processor, right? So these are the main concept which consist of you will make as a server. Okay. Then we have virtualization. Okay, so visualization is kind of software. Okay, so what you will achieve with the visualization? So, for example, you have underlying hardware which is configured in your data center. On top of that, basically, if you don't have visualization, what your organization will use? So underlying hardware. On top of that, you will install OS. On top of that, you will install application. Then the application will be get used by the client or maybe the user. So this is the order, right? So visualization in the sense. So why visualization used in an organization? So you have installed or you have set up all the underlying hardwares. On top of that, you have installed OS. Now your application has been deployed on top of that. The application now we are going to use the underlying resources, right, via OS. Okay. So when your application, right? So for example, the application will be Java based. Okay, so you deployed your applications. So the application which going to use now the resources in order to serve the client request. So what it will happen, right? So whenever if you want to use that resources, maybe the resource can be underutilized or maybe the resource can be overutilized, right? So for that, um maybe in case if your resource has been overutilized, you need to procure the server, you have to be set up again and has to use that. So in case of underutilized, what will happen? So the as part of this infrastructure, right? So whatever the infrastructure which will utilize, the remaining infrastructure or maybe the resources will be not used, so it will be ideal. For that, what visualization come into picture, right? So you will for the better resource, you can say that for this visualization concept comes into picture for the better resource utilization. Okay, so what you are going to do, you have underlying hardware infrastructure. On top of that, you have hypervisor which is for the uh, OS, means hypervisor is a software which is going to use for in order to build your visualization concept. So what visualization will do? It will create a different VM on top of that underlying hardware, right? So for example, virtual machine 1, virtual machine 2, virtual machine 3. In a virtual machine 1, you can install Java based application. In virtual machine 2, you can install Python based application. In virtual machine 3, you can install Golang applications, right? So it's kind of you can say like you have the hypervisor with built in VM, so that the VM can be used for different purposes. So now this will go via resource utilization. The resource can be utilized via hypervisor. From there, it will be utilized there. Okay, from there, virtual machine can be utilized for the underlying infrastructure. This is how the nutshell you can say for this virtualization concept. So now this is the purpose of this visualization, right? Then once it is done, so you have machine now. So the machine will be ready for your application gets deployed. On top of that, you can go ahead and deploy, means go ahead and install OS, because OS is required in order to communicate with your hardware resources, right? So here you can use for, as we told, once virtual machine has been segregated, you can install your guest OS maybe for each system. You maybe for one virtual machine have Linux, and other machine have Windows, and other machine have Mac, or maybe for any kind of OS, right? So, or maybe Linux, or okay. So this is how. So what you will do, you can install those things, and you can, on top of that, what you will do, you are going to use that virtual machine for deploying your application. Then we have middlewares, right? So middleware, maybe most probably most of them aware. So in case somebody is not aware, let me tell you. So let me tell you for middleware, right? Okay. So for example, so middleware is the sense the system would be sitting in middle of the two system, or in a middle of multiple system. For example, I have system one. Okay. And in between I have one middleware. Then I have system 2. So just consider this. Okay. So, okay. So you have system 1. In between, we have middleware, and we have system 2. Okay. So now, why this middleware is used for the better communications, or in order to compliance purpose, or in order to uh, communicate, or you want to store some data in a queue and process based on the data, or maybe based on the scenarios. It depends various it kind of company nature. Okay, so I'll explain one of the concept in a real time scenario which will be used for the company or organization. For example, system have one as, which is for source system, which is, this is the source system. This, for example, this is my, okay, 1 second. This is my source system, and this is my destination system. Okay, so in the system is source. For example, there are core data which will be produced by the system, right? For example, some of the application will, for example, I'm going to run some kind of batch related application. So what will happen? We are going to run lot of batches in a destination server. So what we will do, there are source system which will be available, will be providing lot of transaction related items, or maybe it contains for the sensitive data, or maybe for some other data which they are going to use for the destination system. So what they will do, this system is going to produce lot of data, or the lot of information. They are going to send this data in a file via, okay, sorry, okay, see here. Okay, so this system is producing a lot of data, or maybe the transaction, or maybe for the source system, source data, and this would be creating as a file, or any kind of uh, text data, or maybe for some data, in order to use that and send those file via this system. For example, this system maybe I am going to use for MQ. Okay, for example, message queue. Middleware system is, for example, IBM MQ. Okay, this is for IBM message queue. See, and this is for my destination system, which is for the actual data is going to process here. Okay, so if you see here, right? So this system cannot be sent directly to this system, because some of the organization they will use in order to track that efficiency, or they are going to manage the complaints, or they are going to process their data uh, in a sequential, or maybe for the one by one, or maybe FIFO manner. So whatever the manner, they will be creating the queue here, and this file will get pushed into this queue, and this system will be have always listening this system. Once this system file is getting pushed here, this system will pull this message or maybe pull that file. And once the file is getting reached into the system, this system will get start for the processing. So that is why these are the process for the compliance and for the security purpose, or maybe for the tracking purpose, or maybe for the auditing purpose, as to be managed with this structure. That is why it is kind of middleware, right? So just to understand more about this, so I just explain those concepts. Oh, this is kind of middleware. So system one, we have middleware in between. The system two, the system will produce data. This will be putting into this queue or maybe in the topic. From the destination server will listen those topic. Once that file is or pulled from this middleware queue or maybe in this queue, so it will start the process. Okay. So this is for the middleware concept. So just I explained the concept. So maybe you can go ahead and read, or maybe you can understand more about when we are going further for this series, right? So this kind of middleware. Okay. So this is how the middleware system will work. So I hope understand now the middleware system. Now we have runtime. Okay. So what is runtime? Runtime in the sense, okay, so I am going to run a Java based application. I need JRE, okay, Java runtime. So I'm going to run for Python based application. I need Python based runtime system, or should be the software should run. Okay. So I'm going to run for Golang or maybe any other application. That kind of runtime should be there in order to run their binaries. Okay, that is kind of runtime. Then we have data. Data in the sense, once all those processed data should be, you want to store the data. It may be for relational data or maybe non-relation data. So it may vary from different company to company, or maybe the industry to industry. It depends, right? So I just explain this kind of, okay, the concept, maybe that's what. So maybe it may be MySQL or Postgre or maybe Oracle or maybe IBM DB2. It may be for if you talk about for the relational database or non-relation database. So it depends on the use cases with each and every company. I just want to tell you for this. Then we have applications. So the application is our final means uh, our developed application, or the application is going to used by the client or maybe the end user. Okay, so this has to be going to deploy, or going to use that application has to be deployed in the infrastructure, in the environment. Okay, so this is the thing. So I hope you understand all the concept now. Each and every concept I explained in detail. So I hope it is clear. Now you can see, right, the responsibility which I told you for each and every cloud service models. You can realize now, maybe every concept will be same for each and every service models. And now we have discussed all those things in a very detailed way. So you can realize those concepts. Maybe you can, in case if you are not understand, maybe you can see or you can watch this video uh, maybe for 2 to 3 times. So make sure that you can understand the concept. That will be useful for your interview purpose, or maybe for your the explanation part, or maybe in order to kind of, if you want to migrate your application, or if you want to share your knowledge into some other folks, or maybe for your friend circle, or anywhere it will be useful, right? So as I told you for the responsibility, right? So here you see in on premises, right? So everything would be under your manage, means you have to manage everything. Okay, so you have to procure everything. Okay, for example, in case if you want to set up your, or in your organization set up, everything will be in your own data center. So as I told you, the setup and the infrastructure, other things and all, how they'll be doing all the setup in an organization in a real time. I have explained all those things in my previous video. You can go ahead and watch, so understand more about that. So uh, set up in the sense, okay, so everything should be set up for the company and managed by the company. So everything would be their responsibility. When we come into infrastructure as service, okay, so still virtualization, right, which be managed by cloud service provider, and from OS to till application will be managed by organization, or the company has to be managed. Okay, so when you come into this platform as service, till the runtime will be managed by cloud service providers, and only for the application run and the data storage. Database will be managed by your data would be managed by company. So when we talk about service, software as a service, so this everything will be managed by cloud service providers. Okay, so I hope it is clear now, because these concept, each and every concept will be explained all those things. So each and everything, all the purpose of these services, right? These are the tasks would be managed by uh, what are the cost task, or what are the activity would be coming under each stage. So you understand now. So now the models which we have discussed: on premises, infrastructure as service, platform as service, software as service. Each and every service model will be vary from company to company, which means that it kind of based on the use case. So for example, some company will be used for, I need fully set up into my own data center. Some company, because for example, some banking and insurance, or maybe for government, or maybe for some kind of this kind of organization, right? So they want to store everything to be their control. They don't want to expose their data, or maybe expose that information outside the world, or don't want to share those information into any kind of public place, or maybe for share those things in a public uh, cloud kind of infrastructure. That's what this would be for. Everything will be managed by their uh, organization. Here you see, so till visualization will be managed, later will be managed by these things. So till then you can procure all those things, or maybe use those services in order to set up all those things. From there you can take it forward, and you can install all those things whatever you want, based on the structure. Similarly, platform and SaaS. Okay, so with respect to some of the example, maybe we can give that, if you want to use the, if I want to tell with respect to AWS based example. See, there are one concept. There are concept would be there for AWS Outpost. Okay, so this would be fully end to end has been set up with respect to this client, or maybe from the organization. So this service, if you use those service, the vendor will be provided, or the cloud service provider set up everything full end to end from your data center, and you can manage everything from your side. So infrastructure as service, the best example is that AWS EC2. Okay, so you will get the service EC2 machine. From there you can install whatever you want on top of that, and you can use that service. Okay, then platform as service, you have a platform which is everything ready. You have to deploy your built application, and you need to store that, you need to manage that uh, data, or maybe that application database, or maybe the data you need to manage. That's it. So for example, best example is that beanstalk, AWS beanstalk. Okay, software as service, this would be fully ready-made service. You no need to bother anything. The service which is already provided by end-to-end service provided by cloud service provider, you have to use that service by get into this application. You no need to manage anything, which everything will managed by cloud service provider. Okay, the best example is that fully managed communication system, or maybe uh, best example is that Gmail. Okay, so you don't need to know, do anything. You service will be there. You just log in and use that service. That's it. I hope it is clear. I have given my best effort to explain all those things. Thank you very much for your support, and I would request you to subscribe to my channel. In case if you have not subscribed, this will give me more confident and more motivation in order to create more content like this. And uh, one more thing is that you can like this video, and you can share this video, and share and discuss with your this concept, or maybe share this concept with your friend circle, so that they will also get benefited, and they will also grow together. Okay. Thank you very much. All the very best. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.